All right, hey Vikings fans, welcome in to another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa. We like drinking beer, talking about the Vikings.
Yes, and tonight was great. We had a great beer from Confluence, and neither of us had to spin the wheel of purple punishments.
And that's where the positivity ends, because we had to break down this pretty significant loss to the defending Super Bowl champs. Our Vikings got beat by the Eagles.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. We also spent maybe way too much time talking about the Vikings quarterback situation and kind of what we thought it should look like moving forward the rest of the season.
I think it's a valid conversation, though, and it's one that I think we'll continue to have. We also finished by looking ahead to the Thursday night football game. Short week for the Vikings, traveling to LA to take on the Chargers.
Yep, so go ahead, grab a cold one, and join us for episode 110 of the Skol Hop.
Skol.
Skol.
All right, we're going to take just a minute to give a shout out to a few of our show sponsors. The first one that we're going to shout out is Big Top Ventures. If you're looking to take an all-inclusive trip to Mexico or Jamaica, we're going to put their email right down here. Send them an email at bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. Let them know when you're looking to go on a trip and what you're hoping to do, and we can guarantee you that they will hook you up with the best rate possible on any all-inclusive trip to Mexico or Jamaica. So thanks, Big Top.
Yeah, thanks, Big Top. Another sponsor of ours is That's Badass Wood Art. Evan is going to showcase our current piece of theirs that we have right now. It is their Skol piece. I don't know if it has a specific name on their website, but if you want to check out their website, it is that'sbadasswoodart.com. And you can check out all of the pieces that they have already available to order right now, made out of high-quality wood, put together, glued together by hand. It's really cool stuff, good for man caves, garages, living rooms, anything like that. Really for any sports or any IP, really, and anything you'd want to display made out of wood. They'll hook you up with a lot of cool pieces, even custom pieces if you're interested in that. For our listeners, if you order through that'sbadasswoodart.com, if you use the promo code SKOLHOP, SKOLHOP, all one word, that will give you 10% off any and all orders, even custom orders, I believe, through their website. Yeah, they're just really good stuff, and I can't wait to get some more of their art.
Yeah. So I have some good news and some bad news.
All right, I think I know the bad news. What's the good news, Ev?
The good news is we get to get right to the beer, and neither of us have to spin the wheel of purple punishments.
Yeah, because we were realists, and we preseason decided that the Vikings were definitely going to lose to the Eagles.
Yes, we both had that as our lock to lose, and we were correct. They lost that one.
Yeah, even though we'll get into it, but even though they had some opportunities there, and we can blame one or two decisions and people, and we'll talk about that in a little bit here. But yeah, we don't have to spin the wheel because we made that prediction correct. Both of us did. I think I was looking down the list today, like everybody made that prediction. I think your kids might be the only ones that predicted a Vikings win. Maybe the coin too.
Nope, everybody but my kids.
Okay.
So,
Yep, the Vikings did lose 28-22 to the Eagles, and man, the Eagles looked just unstoppable. But we can get to that here in a minute. Let's
drink some beer.
Let's drink some beer. So, Evan, you brought the beer tonight. Tell us about it. What do we got?
We got Confluence Brewing, a brewery that we've been to in person.
Love Confluence.
And I actually picked up a couple, and I let you pick because I know that you're still reeling about this Vikings loss.
Yeah,
I wanted you to have a little pick-me-up tonight.
Yeah, it might strengthen the mood there a little bit.
So I saw this one on the shelf, and it didn't even look like an Iowa beer, honestly. I thought this was like some like old school beer that had made a comeback or something. And you can kind of see by the can art that it definitely has that old style. But this is the Old Tavern Premium Light Lager from Confluence Brewing. And like I said, it's got that kind of like Chicago old style.
Yep.
Kind of
like
Milwaukee. Old Milwaukee. It's got that like kind of like medieval script font to it. The beer itself, golden. It says it's a premium light lager. It kind of looks like you're kind of like straight up the middle Bud Light. Nothing fancy, no frills, just good old fashioned beer.
Yeah, if you just handed me this glass, one of the ones that we just poured here, and said, "Hey, what do you think this is?" I would say, 99% sure it's just a light lager with like some of those ciders can look like this sometimes too.
Yep.
Although this one's nice, it's got a nice little bit of a head retention there. It smells good. I think it's just going to be a solid, awesome light lager. I don't think I've had this one before. Have you had this one?
I've definitely not had this one before.
All right. Well, knowing Confluence and how good they make beers, I expect this to be, top of the line light lager. Let's give it a try.
Skol.
Skol.
Yeah. Crisp, refreshing, clean. It's a good beer.
Yep, that's that hits the bullseye of the category of a light beer, light lager. That's one that you can, if you have a riding lawnmower, hopefully you have a cup holder because you could put a couple back on the lawnmower while you're cutting the lawn. And then afterwards, you finish off the rest of the 12-pack, recovering from mowing the lawn. This is definitely a solid one. Summer beer, light, refreshing, good. It's really good.
If you have a lawnmower and you need to a riding lawnmower, let me say, and you need to recover from mowing the lawn,
I'm picturing like a 115-degree day or something like that. Like
I have a riding lawnmower, and I have the riding lawnmower because I used to push my whole lawn.
Yeah,
and I have like, I don't know. I think I have like 3/4 of an acre.
Okay,
or maybe 2/3 of an acre. I don't know. It's a lot to mow.
Yeah.
And my yard is really hilly, so I had a push mower for a while, and then I got the rider, and like the rider is awesome because it's like I'm done in 20 minutes.
Is there a cup holder on there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there is.
There's definitely a cup. It's a John Deere.
Oh, nice.
It's a nice one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could drive an Illinois, Iowa, Midwest lawnmower and drink an Iowa beer with this Old Tavern. It's really good. I like it a lot. I think it's just going to hit the spot while we complain about our favorite football team here for the next little while.
Yeah, we've got plenty of grievances to air. As we mentioned, the Vikings lost to the Eagles 28-22 on Sunday. Today's Monday. We're recapping that, and we will eventually look ahead to a very short week for the Vikings, playing Thursday night against the Chargers, although not as short as the Chargers because the Chargers played in the late Sunday window.
Yeah.
So the Vikings have just a little bit of an edge in terms of rest and recovery.
Just a little bit, but
but anyways, roses and thorns. Let's talk about roses first. What were the good things about the game, if any?
So I have an actual rose, but my first rose that I thought of is that we were able to unexpectedly watch this game together. We didn't initially plan on watching it together, but it wasn't televised locally, which I didn't really know, but I've got Sunday ticket.
And I don't.
And you texted me and said, "Hey, I asked about your opinion on a play, or I said something about a play," and you're like, "Yeah, I actually haven't. I didn't see that. I can't find a reliable stream." And immediately I was like, "Come over. I've got it on." And it was probably the first quarter when you came over, right?
Probably within 10-15 minutes of you inviting me, I was there. So
yeah. So that was the only rose I could really think of. But then I thought of another one, just that some players are starting to get healthy. We saw Blake Cashman back.
Yep.
Brian O'Neill was back, and I think both of them played well, unless their PFF grades, are telling the truth that they didn't actually play well. I don't know. From the naked eye, it looked like to me that both of those guys played well. Seems like Carson Wentz's non-throwing shoulder wasn't enough to keep him out, unfortunately. Donovan Jackson, first-round pick, left guard, he was back. I don't think... Did they ever put him on IR?
I don't think so, because I think they knew his wrist surgery would be a pretty short recovery, so they never put him on IR.
But yeah, that's really the only big rose I've got, is that some players are getting healthy.
Yeah.
And that can only be, you'd hope, good news for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I thought Jordan Addison played really well.
Yeah.
And it's good to see him contributing in a big way. He's such a vital part of the offense because, and I think the broadcast even kind of mentioned this, or maybe it was actually KOC in his post-game presser. Somebody articulated this, and it's nothing new, and opposing defenses know this, that Justin Jefferson draws a lot of attention, and when that happens, it usually opens up opportunities for other guys. And in the first 3 games of the season, while Addison was suspended, it wasn't really clear who that guy was going to be. Jalen Naylor maybe kind of got a few opportunities. TJ Hawkinson didn't really look himself the first couple of games of the season. So ever since Addison's been back, and whatever situation happened in Europe is now kind of water under the bridge. He seems like he's, back in prime shape and contributing in a big way. He had a really good game. His stat line was, what was it?
He had 9 catches, 128 yards.
Yeah. So a really good game. I wish we could have gotten a touchdown in there for him, but.
Yeah, he definitely should have had a touchdown at one point, but Carson Wentz, even though it was completion, underthrew him severely at one point, and it was a catch, but no thanks to Carson Wentz on that one. Yeah, I agree. Jordan Addison contributing, coming back. He's kind of along that same mentality of players getting healthy, even though his absence was self-imposed and
not health related. Yeah. Maybe mental.
I don't know. But hopefully he can put that behind him. But then, like you mentioned, he had that weird missing a walkthrough or whatever in London, but who knows what that was actually about. But either way, he's been on the field the last 2 games, and he's been playing well. So I guess that's all that really matters. So,
what's your thorn? I gotta know.
Man, it's gonna seem bleak. It's gonna seem dark. There could be 1,000 thorns right now.
This is a safe place.
Hopefully. My thorn, to me, it feels like there's no hope at quarterback. For the Bengals, their quarterback situation right now, they have an MVP level guy in Joe Burrow who has brought them to the Super Bowl game at one point, but then he's dealt with injury. But right now, Joe Burrow is dealing with injury, and the Browns, their future at quarterback is Joe Burrow. Like they can take solace in that, even if this season's not the greatest for them right now.
You're talking Bengals, not Browns.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Wow, I can't believe I did that. But for the Vikings, yeah, they're QB1. I assume that's what JJ McCarthy is right now. Is technically QB1. Their QB1 is injured, but there's, to me, no hope. It's not, okay, we've seen he's good, he's just got an ankle thing, and once he's back, it'll be all good. The reality is, once he's back, if he's ever going to be quote-unquote back, because he's never been here to begin with, we don't know if he's good. He could be terrible, and after that, there's just no hope at quarterback. Carson Wentz is not the answer. Even if he was really good, he's really too old to put too much behind. Max Brosmer, is apparently not good enough to start or even play over Carson Wentz, which has been kind of ugly, weirdly ugly / not terrible sometimes. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like there's any hope. And when I was thinking of this thorn today, I went as far as to look up, okay, so the Vikings had success with Sam Darnold, and is there a Sam Darnold of 2026? Is there a quarterback who is going to be a free agent who, after this season, who may be worth a flyer? Maybe he's been, here or there a little bit, and his current team's definitely going to give up on him. Is there somebody the Vikings can try to pick up and KOC can whisper into? Because I don't know what JJ McCarthy is going to be. And there's nobody. There's no impending free agent quarterbacks. I don't know enough about the college game right now to know if there's a guy that could be available in the 3rd round or something. It just seems like this quarterback position, it's either they're going to limp along for another year with JJ McCarthy / whoever veteran Carson Wentz type they can plug in there when McCarthy gets phantom injured, or they're just gonna
so
bounce around.
Are you admitting that this injury might not be all that it's cracked up to be?
I think JJ McCarthy actually is injured. I think more of it, like I've said many times, especially last week, I think a lot of JJ McCarthy's absence and his injury and the way the coaches are handling it is fear.
That's fair.
I'm not a doctor. I don't know the severity of JJ McCarthy's actual injury. I think it's an actual injury, but I think there's also that element of, well, we can't once they throw JJ McCarthy out there again and they say, hey, yeah, he's starting because he's healthy and he's ready to go. That's it. You
Point
can't
of no return.
Yeah, you can't go back and be like, yeah, we needed to bench him a little bit because his development's not there.
Because then it turns into like the Anthony Richardson situation in Indianapolis, and we all saw how that turned out. Daniel Jones is their quarterback, and they're one of the best teams in football.
Yeah.
So
that's my biggest fear is that Anthony Richardson is what JJ McCarthy turns into, and yeah, that's the longest thorn segment ever, which was actually last week. But yeah, that's my thorn, is that it just feels like there's currently no hope at the quarterback position for the Vikings.
And my thorn, I probably would have taken that one, but I picked a different one. The secondary on the defensive side of the ball just also seems like there's not a lot of hope there. There's just... You've got some decent names. You've got Byron Murphy and Josh Metellus and Harrison Smith. Isaiah Rodgers was splashy for a week there.
He had a historic game.
But they got lit up against the Eagles. And truthfully, they haven't really been a solid unit all season long. And it's a unit that we identified in the preseason. Like, they didn't do enough in free agency or the draft to really bolster that position group. And I'm talking cornerbacks and safeties. And you got rid of a couple of key players like Cam Bynum, and they're struggling right now. They're not what they need to be. So
did you see all the noise about people saying horrific racial things to Isaiah Rodgers?
I did hear about that.
I saw
the Vikings posted an official statement about it. So I think that's how you know, like, it was a legitimate thing. And I mean, those people just suck. Whoever's doing that, like, you got to stop doing that. Like, there's no room for that in our world anymore. Like, come on.
I saw the one, I think it was on Isaiah Rodgers, his Instagram story. He screenshotted like a DM list of messages that he got specifically from one person, and it was awful. Like, just the guy obviously was probably frustrated, drunk, watching the game, saying terrible things that nobody should say to anybody. And like, if you're I don't understand that. If you're DMing a player, get a life. Like,
right.
we have a podcast about the Vikings. We say all the time, we're just a couple of dudes drinking beer talking about the Vikings. We're not DMing players. The closest we'd come to DMing a player is trying to shoot our shot, like, hey, do you want to come on our show? Like, that would be it. We would never be like,
plug.
Hey, you suck. Like, even if we thought that for a second, like, we'd never say that, let alone the racial part. That's horrible. And I that sucks that there are people who are fans of our team that would even think that. I will say Isaiah Rodgers seemed to not play very well, but I don't care if a guy lets 1,000 yards receiving go and 10 touchdowns in one game. There is no excuse for any of that.
And I think that therein lies the difference. Like, we can sit here and be critical of our team while still being respectful of the players behind the
humans.
team. Like, if any of them walked through the door right now, we'd lose our minds.
Yeah, we'd do cartwheels. Like, hey, come take a seat. You want a beer? Like, I don't know. Like, let's talk sports. Yeah, obviously, like, it'd be crazy. But
if you want to talk about the game, we can, but we don't have to. Yeah. It's okay. So I'm concerned about the secondary.
Yeah.
I think it's shown some cracks already this season, and I don't see it getting better. And the Vikings still have to play some really, really good teams coming up. They haven't played the Lions yet. And the Lions were looking real good a little bit ago on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, they're playing right now.
The Bucks. They also haven't played the Packers yet. The Packers aren't looking great, but they're not looking bad either.
You could argue they're looking better than the Vikings.
And the Vikings have to play the Bears again, and the Bears have won 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
So the rest of the divisional games look scary, to say the least. And then you've got the rest of the schedule, which is, I think, equally as challenging. So I don't know. I don't like this secondary. I'm long-winded too on my thorn here.
No, it's good though. It's good. There's legitimate things to be complaining about, and the secondary is actually absolutely one of them.
I think Isaiah Rodgers was kind of a one-hit wonder.
So far, I think he's played well. This
played
Eagles
okay.
game, they definitely picked on him.
Yeah, they did. But Byron Murphy has not lived up to the hype. Harrison Smith is aging, and it shows. I mean, he's still definitely like one of the captains on the field, and when Cashman wasn't around, he was that guy. Like, we saw him, I still point this out, move Ivan Pace into his spot, and then Ivan Pace gets a sack. But now that Cashman's back, I think Harrison Smith kind of took a back seat, and he's still playing aggressive. There were a few plays. There's one play where I think he injure an Eagle. Didn't the Eagle receiver go down, and he walked off under his own power? But I think
was that the Devontae Smith one that
I can't
was
remember.
ruled a catch, and then they.
I think, but they looked at the play because they thought it might have been like a defenseless receiver.
And
penalty,
they picked up the flag.
And they picked up the flag on Hitman. So he's still playing with some ferocity, intensity, but it's not nearly what it used to be, and that's concerning. Josh Metellus gave up that big long touchdown was that to Devontae Smith, or was that? I forget.
Or is that early on? I think
was
the
like
one
in
you're
the
talking about
first or second quarter.
That was AJ Brown
A.J.
early on. And that one right there too.
It was kind of a mismatch.
It's definitely a mismatch. Metellus is a very athletic linebacker safety hybrid. Yeah, there's the meme, not even meme. There's the actual like image that showed that he had played every position at some point. But I mean, you can't rely on him to be a true cornerback.
Right.
Yes, I want Metellus on the team. He's really good, but that's definitely a mismatch right there. Is AJ Brown against him one-on-one? Like that's not something you should rely on
And
consistently.
That's maybe a Brian Flores, faux pas, right? Like, we shouldn't do that again, right? If we see that formation offensively from then again, we might want to put Isaiah Rodgers or somebody on him,
I will say the Vikings defense, while the secondary was concerning,
the defense overall played pretty well.
Well, I mean, to let 28 points go through is not awesome, but their rushing defense against Saquon did pretty good. I'm trying to pull up the actual stats here to...
Yeah, and I felt that because I have Saquon on my fantasy team, and he did not play very well.
Yeah, 18 carries for 44 yards, which... It's not like they didn't try with him. And 44 yards is not nothing, but it's not like he torched the Vikings.
Right.
Now, granted, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown both had over 100 yards. Brown with 121 and 2 touchdowns, and Devontae Smith with 183 and a touchdown. You don't need to run the ball when you got 2 guys. And that was basically their receiving. Nobody else had more than 18 yards other than that. But, I mean, you don't need to do anything other than that when you have 2 guys just going off. That means... Jalen Hurts, who only had 4 incompletions, by the way. He just did whatever he wanted. A perfect 158.3 quarterback rating. Or passer rating. Quarterback rating is different. But it's just the rest of the offense, Saquon Barkley, didn't have to do much because their Eagles passing game was just going off. And yeah, definitely a very legitimate thorn to have.
Let's talk game balls quick. I think I kind of already spoiled your game ball a little bit.
Kind of. I mean, there's only so many good things you can talk about. I mean, just looking at stats-wise, I think one of the only game balls you can give out is Jordan Addison. Yeah, he didn't score a touchdown. He didn't, change the game out of nowhere like he did with his touchdown catch against the Browns a couple weeks ago, but he definitely splashed more than anybody else. 9 catches, 128 yards. he was a solid target for Carson Wentz. He's really good. I just wish his, mindset, he wasn't such an idiot sometimes off the field. But at least against the Eagles, I feel like he's one of the few guys that you could even argue could get a game ball.
Yeah, and I'm going to give mine to Will the Thrill.
Ooh, yeah.
Because without him, the Vikings would have been blown out. Like, how many field goals did he make in this game?
5.
He made 5 field goals. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's 15 points right there.
Well, plus that extra point, too. So, I mean, he would have been decent to have in fantasy.
In fantasy, yeah. He probably scored, 20-some points or something?
16 points just by himself. 5 times 3. Yeah, 16 points just for himself. Plus, one of those was a 59-yarder. I think we said it there, too, when we were watching. Sometimes in some fantasy leagues, 50-plus yarders are given more points than just 3. So,
well, and I think I pointed this out while we were watching the game. There have been, up until that point, this might have changed now. In fact, I think actually Brandon Aubrey with the Cowboys changed this. There have been 8 kicks up until the Vikings-Eagles game on Sunday. There were 8 kicks of 59 yards or more, and Will owned 3 of them.
8
made,
yeah.
8 made kicks
this year. Yeah, that's such a crazy stat.
And he owns 3 of them. So good. Like, the dude is just clutch. And
I know they've been saying,
glad he's a Viking.
They've been saying the whole league wide, they kind of tweaked the rules on the kicking ball. That, I don't know the exact situation that the teams can have the ball all week and then scuff it up or do whatever they want to and then bring them to the game. I don't know the exact situation, but I know that teams
they get to
can
bring
personally
a certain number of kicking balls.
Yeah, and they don't have to start with a brand new ball, right? That was just opened up Sunday morning. But I will say with that, if everybody's playing by the same rules, then I'm good with that. But apparently it's making for more exciting kicking throughout the league, which is kind of cool. I'm okay with that. You remember a few years ago, I think it was 2019 or something in Major League Baseball, when they it was the worst kept secret in sports that they were allowing these baseballs to be juiced, or however, whatever you mean by juiced. That. And I think the Twins that year broke the record for, it was either a franchise record or major league team record for the most home runs hit for a team that year. Stuff like that, it makes it more exciting. Kicking balls, if everybody's playing by the same rules, that's okay. But yeah, Will Reichard, I mean, he's been looking pretty good so far.
Yeah, the dude can kick, that's for sure.
And as far as the Skol hop is concerned, he is still perfect on the season.
100%. Because those wires in England, they
I've seen so many conflicting reports on that one too.
It's kind of a conspiracy at this point. What's the actual story?
I mean, I saw initially when I saw the video, it's oh yeah, it definitely hit that wire. And then I kept looking at the video. My personal opinion was that it didn't hit the wire. And then apparently there was some report that the NFL acknowledged that it hit the wire, but that it wasn't going to change the official ruling. But then I saw something else that the NFL never even said that. I don't know. In my mind, Reichard's still perfect this year. And definitely deserving of a game ball, even in the loss yesterday.
Yeah, I'm giving him a game ball. I mean, the Vikings aren't even in this game without him kicking all those field goals. So,
well, we can kind of talk about that too. There's how many red zone trips that they had, 5 or 6 red zone trips without a touchdown.
Yep, and I think that's a part of Carson Wentz's game, at least right now. Maybe he had this figured out at a different point in his career, but right now those goal to go situations, Carson Wentz just doesn't have the eyes for the field that way. And I feel like you look back at Sam Darnold, you look back at Kirk Cousins, they had eyes for the short field in those situations. They could find Justin Jefferson and put the ball in the basket on those corner fade routes. They could do those crossing routes, when they're running toward the goalpost. And everything in between. And we've already seen it this season. Instead of putting the ball in Carson Wentz's hands and trusting him to get the job done, last week, KOC put the ball in Cam Akers' hands.
In the Browns game.
Yeah, and trusted him to score the touchdown on the throw instead of the quarterback, So I just don't think that's part of Carson Wentz's game. And to your point a little bit ago, that could be reason enough for him to be gone for now. Like, if the Vikings are going to continue to win, a change at quarterback probably needs to happen.
Yeah, and we can get to that here too, but I think one of the reasons Carson Wentz, there's a few reasons I think KOC is sticking with him, even not even looking at JJ McCarthy's health and his recovery from that ankle boo-boo. I think KOC is more comfortable with Wentz right now because he is that veteran. We've talked about KOC kind of appreciates that veteran mentality. And between the 20s or up until the Vikings get into the red zone.
And that was something he talked about in his presser too.
Carson Wentz seems to be doing pretty well. I mean, his passing yardage is nothing to complain about. He's gotten... What has he played? 4 games for the Vikings? Started 4 games for the Vikings so far.
13 yards in this game.
Yeah, and against the Browns, I think he had like 350. Like he's passing and getting the numbers. His accuracy is not terrible. Overall, it's not terrible either.
Except for in that game.
Yeah, in specific situations. So I can definitely understand why a coach right now, why KOC would stick with Carson Wentz, because it's only a few identified plays where Carson Wentz, outside of a few specific situations, Carson Wentz is playing well. The thing is, those few situations, and I kind of wrote most of them down, that robbed touchdown pass to TJ Hawkinson late, which I can go either way. I could see if it had been called not a touchdown on the field, I could see them, letting that stand. I think that should have been a touchdown, but that's neither here nor there. Either way.
But there was the same picture of Travis Kelce.
That's why I'm saying it should be a touchdown.
Basically, and it wasn't even his hands were under the ball. It's like his hands are here, and this purple helmet is the ground. They called that a catch, and somehow TJ Hawkinson didn't catch that ball.
And I think the thing about Hawkinson's catch, which should have been a catch, is that after he bounced off the ground, which the ball grazed the ground. I don't think there's not a lot of question about that.
The rule gives some grace that the ball can touch the ground.
I think Hawkinson, when the ball made contact with the ground, slight contact, Hawkinson had control. And then when he was bouncing up and started rolling off of the ground, he adjusted the ball in his hands.
I don't even think it was he adjusted it. I think the ball just naturally kind of flipped.
Yes, in his hands, never touching the ground after that.
Yep.
And I think it was that adjustment that refs are holding on to, saying, oh, yep, nope, he didn't complete the catch. Go to the ground completing the catch.
I saw things today through his interview where he was saying the refs on the field told him that it was a catch.
Yeah, he said
and
couple.
Then New York overturned it. I also saw, I think we can call her friend of the show, Sally Spice.
She's been on the show,
She's been on. Yeah. She tweeted, I don't know what a catch is anymore, or something like that.
I thought we were past that, but yeah.
And that was kind of all the rage in 21, 22, that season. What is a catch? What isn't a catch? And we've kind of moved on from that, it seems like, in the league, but this definitely kind of reopened that controversy a little bit.
Yeah, but that kind of derailed me a little bit. I'm still talking about Carson Wentz.
Sorry,
and
go ahead.
Most of the game, he played fine. Got the yardage, got the completions, but that Hawkinson TD didn't have to be as hard of a catch as Carson Wentz made it. Could have made it just 2% easier, and you're talking about a touchdown. We're not even complaining about that. There was a sequence in the same drive of 2 or 3 times he tried to throw not even like a 50-yard bomb, just a slightly long pass to Justin Jefferson. Each time sailed or way off, no chance. And when we were watching together, you said after each time, oh, Darnold would have had a touchdown right there with Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson's a good enough wide receiver. He could have made that catch with a slightly better ball.
Because Darnold would put it like here, and Wentz is putting it like way over here.
Just no chance.
There's just no way you're going to catch a ball way over here. But if you're Justin Jefferson, you can get this ball right here, right? And it's not to scale, right? Like if you're watching on YouTube, we're not like experts here, but I think that's the gist of it, right? Carson Wentz is just not as accurate as your kind of like top 15, top 20 quarterback in the league right now. He's just not.
Yep.
And that's a problem.
So that poor pass to Hawkinson late in the game that Hawkinson got robbed on, those multiple whiffs to Jefferson. There was that long pass that I mentioned earlier to Jordan Addison that was completed and was a really good catch by Addison to the sideline that could have, I don't know, I guess I don't know what was in front of Jordan Addison or who could have caught up to him. I assume it's either a touchdown or at least 20 more yards of a reception there for Jordan Addison. That's a big whiff on Carson Wentz. And then there's two big ones that I haven't even gotten to the biggest ones. The underthrow to Addison in the flat early in the game where, Addison motioned and they were, at the 15-ish yard line? Carson Wentz just threw 5 yards behind him, and that would have been an easy touchdown for Addison. Early in the game would have changed the whole outlook of the game. Immediately once Wentz threw it, he turned around and did a little pout, ugh. But the most egregious one that we all saw was that intentional grounding to C.J. Ham.
That was terrible.
When he was throwing in the direction of C.J. Ham, but he knew it's not like it was a poor pass. He purposely threw it in the dirt. Ham was wide open. He would have walked in for a 10, 15-yard touchdown reception. That was a critical point later in the game that would have made things so much different. And Wentz just panicked and threw the ball at the ground. And then got intentional grounding.
Loss of down, 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, and when you add all of those, again, what am I talking about? Less 7 or 8 plays throughout the whole game. Outside of those 7 or 8 plays, Wentz probably played really well. Completions were good. Yardage was good.
You got to throw in the 2 interceptions. The 2 interceptions were also his bad. And I guess you could give a little credit to the Eagles' defense, but I think it's more just he was not aware.
Well, the first one, the pick 6, he just got blown up. So, yeah, I don't know exactly who he was thrown to.
The linebacker that ended up intercepting that pass kind of appeared in the flat out of nowhere, too. He wasn't in the box when the ball was snapped, and he just kind of... I think he showed pressure he was going to blitz, and then he just kind of floated back, and he's kind of the spy, and he kind of just sat there and waited, and it was a timing play for Carson Wentz. He's looking for Justin Jefferson to make that crossing route, and he just lets go of it as he's kind of coming out and lets go, and boom, interception.
Yep. I'm giving him less of a fault on that one. It's still terrible decision making. I agree with you, but that was a lot more on Blake Brandel for not even blocking the defensive tackle. He got blown up and made a terrible decision, which is going to lead to not just a turnover, but we saw in points directly from the defense.
And then the very next interception too was kind of egregious on Carson. More egregious, I think, on Carson Wentz's behalf, where he just was kind of reckless with the ball and
absolutely
let it fly. And
I'm convinced he had no idea that the cornerback who ended up making the interception, I'm convinced Wentz had no idea he was even out there. He just saw, who was it, Addison or Naylor out there, and he lobbed it up thinking it was one-on-one coverage, and totally missed the other defender. And yeah, you're right. Those 2 interceptions plus all the plays that I mentioned earlier are why the Vikings lost that game. And it sucks because those are direct Wentz decisions. Yep. And we'll get to it later, but that's why I have my opinions on quarterback that I do.
Let's talk about coaching for a minute, because there was a moment towards the end of the game, the Vikings were saving timeouts. KOC had saved timeouts, and they were in the red zone, which they were quite a lot. And I forget the exact sequence of plays, but there was a penalty, I think, in there, and then there was a lot of time that kind of ticked off the clock, and then it was either go for it on fourth down or kick the field goal. And I think the TJ Hawkinson robbed catch was a part of this whole sequence too. KOC just kept trying to go for it, and he kept trying to go for it, and then they didn't convert.
Yeah. So the Vikings had the ball. They were driving down by 9, and it got to the point where they had the ball with around 3 or so minutes left. It was before the 2-minute warning.
Yep, well before the 2-minute warning.
They had all 3 of their timeouts and the 2-minute warning in their pocket as ways to stop the clock. Again, down by 9, so you need 10 points to win. They're driving down, and it was starting to get talked about on the broadcast, and then also in my basement, you and me.
With us.
And it was Greg Olson. He had started saying, like, yeah, if you don't score a touchdown soon, you get to the point where
you just got to kick the field goal.
Kick the field goal, get the 3.
You need one anyways.
And then you still have 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning to try and stop the Eagles' offense to get the ball back.
4 timeouts.
Well, had the TJ Hawkinson touchdown been an actual touchdown, that plan would have been perfect. They would have scored a touchdown, theoretically had the opportunity to stop the clock 4 times, not even have to worry about an onside kick, try to get a 3-and-out. Worst case, they get a first down, and then you still have 3 clock stoppages for the Eagles to try to stop them from getting another first down. Could have gotten the ball back to try to go down and then kick a field goal. Well, the Vikings, it didn't work out that way. The TJ Hawkinson catch was ruled not a catch, and then it ended up being 4th and 2 with 2+ minutes left. And the Vikings went for it, and they got it. They got the first down. But in that sequence, after getting the first down, they kept trying to get the touchdown, kept getting stuffed, led up to the 2-minute warning. So there goes one of your clock stoppages. And after all of that, they ended up
kicking the field goal.
Wasting so much time, they kicked the field goal to make it 28-22. And then I was sitting there just going nuts. I think at one point, you can attest to it, I was saying, like, how am I smarter in this situation than Kevin O'Connell? Kevin O'Connell is a trillion times smarter about football than I'll ever be. That's absolutely true. But in that situation, I absolutely knew what I would have done in Madden if I was playing, like with the clock. Turns out they even got a gimme at one point because they gave the Eagles the ball back. They still had 3 timeouts left. They could have gotten the ball back with a miracle 3-and-out. And the Eagles, they ran once. Vikings called a timeout. They attempted a pass, and it didn't go. Like, it was incomplete. Free timeout. And then, ultimately, it was a huge bomb down the field to A.J. Brown. A couple completions to him, but the Vikings ended up losing. But it was all that... I think Kevin O'Connell was so spurned by that TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah,
like,
right.
We had it. And he did what people who lose a bet do. They double down. And he was like, no, we had the touchdown, so we need to get the touchdown. I said at the time, them being stubborn and going for the touchdown right there, only to get, stopped and settle for the field goal anyways. That that coaching decision was as bad for me as that deciding, I think it was against the Steelers. No, against the Falcons. When they were down by not too much late in the game and they punted on like a 4th and 1 with like 9 minutes left in the game. Those were that and the pushing for a touchdown there. 2 huge season-altering decisions that could have gone differently had they made the better decision.
I think, and you said this, and you certainly don't think that you are NFL head coach caliber.
No, yeah.
We're just a couple of dudes sitting here drinking beer talking about the Vikings and talking about what we saw and what we thought. And we can share our thoughts that way. But like, I think when you're in that situation, I think maybe sometimes you're just so close to the forest that you missed the forest for the trees. Right? Like, and I kind of pointed out a situation because I've watched a lot of high school football this year. I pointed out a situation where I thought that I kind of had the jump on one of the coaches that I was watching this year. And like, I kind of said out loud what he should do.
Oh, yeah.
About 30 seconds before he did it. And I think it involved a penalty where, like, it would have been more advantageous for him to decline the penalty than to accept the penalty as the coach. And I'm up in the press box saying, decline that penalty because now it's, fourth and whatever instead of third and whatever. And you're going to force him to punt. And then sure enough, 30 seconds later, he declines the penalty and whatnot. Like, sometimes when you're not down there on the sideline and you see the whole thing, you can see the bigger picture.
Oh, yeah. And I even said it. I think Greg Olson was the one that, on the broadcast was the one that was first saying, like, they might try just to go for the field goal here to preserve time. And that clicked in my head, like, that makes total sense. Why aren't they doing that?
And I listened to Kevin O'Connell's press conference this morning, and he kind of defended himself. Like,
of course.
He just kind of said, like, and I don't think he was asked directly about that particular. I don't think any of the reporters they didn't have the gumption to kind of, call him out like, hey, what were you thinking in that moment? And I think the reporters that he works with, especially at those home games, have a lot of respect for him.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not going to, put him on glass in a moment like that. But he kind of defended himself, and I think he kind of felt like he had to defend himself in that moment. And he basically just said, like, we felt like we had to be aggressive because, what else are we going to do? Like, we were kind of,
the smart thing.
We were on the ropes, and we didn't have any other options. And I think that's kind of how he defended himself. Right, wrong, or indifferent. Yeah. We can look at it, and sit here and complain all day long about how bad it was. But ultimately, he's the guy has the headset and has the ability to make those calls. So I agree with you.
Oh yeah. Well,
in hindsight, and we watched it together. So, like, I was in agreement with you in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'm still in agreement with you that it was probably mishandled. And you had the opportunity to put your team in a different position to possibly win the game. Who's to say that you actually come out on the other side?
Yeah. Because you still would have had to have stopped the Eagles, and which hadn't happened all day. And it was just a game that I don't think the Vikings were going to win. It would have things would have to have gone severely differently for the Vikings to have won, and that's just one chess match scenario at the end of the game where we can say what if until we're blue in the face. And ultimately a loss is a loss, and they're kicking off here in 96 hours whatever, however long until they kick off against the Chargers.
Way too soon.
And at some point you just got to move on.
I did want to bring up one other thing really quick. Because we said this multiple times. You said it. I think I said it last week on the podcast. And then when we were watching the game, you affirmed what I had said. And I still think this is true because even after watching his post-game press conference, I feel this way. Kevin O'Connell just has a different demeanor about him.
Yeah.
He does not have this same fiery, like, I don't care what happens, like, team culture. We're just, we're about the guys. We're about the 53 guys in that locker room, and it doesn't matter what. Like, it seems like things are getting to Kevin O'Connell in a way that they haven't gotten to him in his first 3 years as a head coach.
I've thought a lot about that, and I think I have at least an explanation why.
Okay.
First year, 2022. Remember, that was the heart attack season,
one score wins.
One score, and that was when the stat was still true. Like, if he's tied or better wins the turnover battle, then he's undefeated. But if he loses a turnover battle, whatever. Either way, 2022, the Vikings. I'm gonna look this up really quick, just to be totally right here. Yeah, this is terrible audio. Sorry for our listeners. Thank you for sticking with us.
Are you trying to
look this up?
Look up 2022 season stats?
Like just like their record. What was their record?
Oh, they were 13-4.
13-4. Okay, and most of it they were winning. So yeah, they would have these emotional heart attack games and then pull it off. All but 4 times they pulled off the win, and that's where we got all those like after the game rah videos, game ball here, hey, you can't give away that many game balls because they're expensive. I don't care, they take them out of my paycheck, whatever. It was awesome.
They had a negative 3-point differential that year.
Yeah.
Like they gave up so many points.
Yeah.
But they were still winning games, which was awesome.
And so it was all good, mostly good. And then the playoffs, you get burned by the Giants and Daniel Jones, and that just sucks. 2023. So there's still positivity from 2022. You got Kirk Cousins playing really good. Everything's good. 2023 going into that season, it's like, all right, hey, he could have won Coach of the Year last year, and the team's looking really good.
Run it back.
And yeah, we're running it back. We got everything. 2023, there's some adversity. There's the hamstring injury by Justin Jefferson. He misses a lot of games, but they win most of those games. And everything's kind of rough, but they're almost there. And Kevin O'Connell, it's fluky stuff early in the season. It kind of sucks, but Kirk's still playing really well, and it felt like everything was going to turn around. And then they do start turning around. Justin Jefferson comes back, and Kirk's playing really well, and they win a couple of games. They beat the 49ers really early on. That was Jordan Addison's famous. He let the pick go, and then he, stole the later pass for a touchdown right at the end of half. Mm-hmm. Things were starting to look up for the Vikings. Not too much adversity other than, hey, we just lost a couple. And then, boom, Kirk Cousins, starting quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the league, boom, done. Achilles out for the year. And that sucks, and it's adversity, and you lose a lot of games left in the year. But if you remember, that's the famous year where we were like, hey, if they end up making the playoffs, good luck.
Yeah, watch out.
Yeah, watch out. This team is, yeah. And they almost did. I think they still had a chance for the playoffs in the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, and they finished 7-10. They won the 2 games after Kirk got hurt. They beat the Falcons in Atlanta, and then they beat the Saints at home. But those were the Josh Dobbs kind of like Pasternak.
The Pasternak era. That was fun.
Yeah, and then, they lose in Denver. They lost to the Bears, and then they lost 4 of their last 5 games.
So 2022, some, close game adversity, but not much because they keep winning. 13-4, great first season. 2023, kind of tough season, but there's a lot of highlights, and then boom, you have that big excuse of like, man, if only right when Kirk was playing well, then he went down for the year. If only, they actually would have been good, but we can't really blame anything. We'll just kind of get healthy and run it back for the future. 2024. Oh, we've got the franchise quarterback now. Everything's going to be good. Oh, crap, he sucks. Or he's injured for the year, but Sam Darnold, he's the next Baker Mayfield. Oh, my goodness. We won 14 games and only lost to 2 teams, and it's such a great year. Like, this would have been awesome. Coach of the year. If only Sam Darnold didn't just S the bed in the last 2 games, this could have been a crazy awesome year. There's a lot of highlights, a lot of good things to love about 2024. So you're talking 3 years where the only real adversity is the biggest injury, which is a kind of excuse built in. When your QB1 goes down, that's a huge excuse to be like, it's not really anybody's fault when you're rolling out Josh Dobbs and everybody else, Nick Mullins. But 2025 now, they've got the franchise quarterback that should be good. He's been injured, hasn't seen the field for 2 years.
And hasn't looked good.
And the 2 games he's been in, he's looked good for about 5 minutes in one of them. They're, come out of nowhere veteran quarterback who could be, Sam Darnold last year, isn't looking good either. This team doesn't feel like it did in 2022 and 2024, and they don't feel like a good team. Plus, the rest of the NFC North is really good too.
And let's not forget, they went out and bolstered both the offensive and defensive line. Yeah. Offensive line has been 4/5 injured all season. And the defensive line, Hargrave and Jonathan Allen, look kind of like busts a little bit. We probably should give them a little bit of credit because I think they've been okay, but they are not what we're paying them to be.
Yeah, I'd say Levi Drake Rodriguez has been just as good, and Jalen Redmond has been just as good as those other two guys. But either way, so it's been all good for the first 3 years of Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, and the bad during those 3 years were excusable.
Yep.
Injury, whatever. This year, there's no excuse. And myself included, we see, injured ankle for J.J. McCarthy. I think everybody on the history of the planet, if you're an adult, you twisted your ankle before.
I twisted my ankle 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm fine.
Yeah. And we all have an issue, myself included, saying like, hey, a twisted ankle, dude. Like, it's a twisted ankle. Who cares? Like, shoot them up. How many times do we see players basically die on the field, and then 10 minutes later they're playing back on the field because they went to the blue tent and got shot up with whatever medical stuff, and they're good now? We're jaded by that. So we think, he twisted his ankle, J.J. McCarthy should be out there. Oh, he's not out there? That must mean they hate him and he sucks and they don't want to put him out there because they're trying to save their job. We're all cynical about that. But it's like my thorn from earlier in the podcast here. There's no hope at quarterback. With your thorn, the secondary doesn't look good. And I think Byron Murphy gets a little bit of a pass because usually when you don't hear from a cornerback, it's either they're playing really well or they haven't gotten many interceptions. I think Byron Murphy, he's doing both. He's playing well and he's not getting the interception, so we're not hearing from him. So we're not saying, he had that pick 6, so he must suck. Either way, I think there's so many legitimate concerns about the team this year that we haven't had in all of Kevin O'Connell's career that he's probably feeling it too. And nobody's closer to it than him. He's probably pretty pissed off right now. If me, 25 hours after the game, or 30 hours after the game, if I'm pissed off, I'm just a dude in your basement. He's got to be super pissed off, and his job is on the line because every head coach's job is on the line every week. I'm not saying Kevin O'Connell's on the hot seat right now. That'd be crazy. But yeah, I could definitely see the last 15 minutes of me just screaming into the void here is why I agree with you. He's mad and he's pissed off. And when Judd Zolgad in a press conference a few days ago says, hey, what's the state of the quarterback situation? And that's why Kevin O'Connell snips back and he says the state is the same as it was yesterday when I said this, and this. That's tensions get high. And they're 3-3. They're not the Dolphins right now. Have you seen Mike McDaniel's press conferences lately? He looks like he's drugged out. I'm not saying he is, but he looks like he can't put a sentence together. He is gonna get fired.
He's got a history of alcohol too.
Oh yeah. I don't want to put that out there, but
we don't need to speculate on that, especially while we're sitting here drinking beer. But I think Kevin O'Connell will rally. I think he'll be okay. I think he's still the coach long term for this team. I think he's the guy we want.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the big question right now, and I think this can maybe be one of our final talking points here as we kind of wind down, what are they going to do at quarterback? What's the game plan here? If you're the head coach or if you're the GM, what do you do? Well,
we've said it a lot. You put yourself in a situation, good or bad, usually for teams bad, but sometimes it works out. You put yourself in a situation when you draft a guy in the first round, in the top 10, higher than your team has ever drafted a quarterback before. In a draft with other quarterbacks who all of them are looking good. Caleb Williams looks good. Jaden Daniels injury, looks good. Caleb Williams didn't look great last year, but he looks like there's flashes there. Jaden Daniels, definitely, I think he was Rookie of the Year last year. He's amazing, and he's been a little banged up this year, but there's still, the bones are there for him to look good. Drake May, his last few weeks this year have been incredible, now that he's got an actual head coach and not a converted linebacker.
Bo Nix just led that incredible comeback against the who was that against?
The Giants.
The Giants.
Yeah. And Bo Nix, didn't he make the Pro Bowl last year? Like, he's looking amazing, and he was the one that I was sitting there like, oh, crap, I don't want the Vikings to get Bo Nix. He's terrible. He's looking good. Michael Penix is definitely a starter in the league.
He took the starting job away from Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. He supplanted a guy that his team paid $200 million or $180 million for. So everybody in that draft class is looking good. Plus, you've got guys from this draft class that are starting to look good. Cam Ward, his coach already got fired. I haven't heard anything about him. Jackson Dart, he's a first rounder from 2025. Yeah, he just got beat by Bo Nix, but there's something there with him too. He's got some, they found something with him. So you get all these young quarterbacks that are looking good. JJ can't even get on the field. So what are the Vikings doing with JJ? Is he actually injured? I think he is, but I think they're being overly cautious with him. He hasn't looked good when he played for 2 games. The Bears are better than we thought they were, and the Falcons also are better than we thought they were, and those are the only games he's played in. I think the coaches are being too cautious with him. But other than JJ, their only other options are Carson Wentz, who throws for 300 yards, but also gives you reasons to lose the game.
Mediocre at best.
Exactly. And then once you sit bench for Brosmer, that's kind of like you can't go back from that.
Yep.
So they haven't done that outside of Brosmer came in at halftime of the Bengals game because, just to kneel it down, or was it the Browns game? Because Carson banged up his shoulder. Brosmer's been in for a few. He got like the whole fourth quarter against the Bengals, but like threw 4 passes. Like he hasn't gotten a shot. So I think because once you throw JJ McCarthy back out there and you say, yep, he's back, he's healthy, he's good to go.
You got to be all in on that decision.
You can't go back unless you're giving up on him. You have to be all in, like you just said. If you bench J.J. McCarthy now, then it's like, oh, hey, if he has 2 bad games, if he plays against the Chargers and the Lions and he looks terrible, or the Lions and then whoever else the Vikings are playing after that and he looks terrible, then it's like, then he gets benched for Wentz. It's like, oh, hey, obviously the Vikings saw what they didn't want to see and they're moving on, and who are they going to draft in the first round of the draft this year? And, man, what a terrible decision. It set the team back 2 years, 5 years, whatever. I think the Vikings this week against the Chargers are going to start Wentz because they can still hide behind the injury of J.J. McCarthy, legitimate or not. And Wentz just threw for 300 yards. Yeah, he was the reason you lost against the Eagles. He was half the reason you lost against the Eagles, and then the defense was the other part. But I think they should start Brosmer if they're not going to start JJ.
Yeah, and it's kind of this catch-22. I think where I'm at now, and I've kind of changed in my opinion on this, because a few weeks ago I was Wentz. He's winning.
Last week, and you had a legitimate argument.
Yeah, I mean, he won a game. He's won a few games, like he's not a terrible quarterback, and to your point, he's, statistically speaking, a solid starting quarterback in the NFL. Is he the best? No. But is he the worst? No. He's not Tua Tagovailoa. He's not turning the ball over left and right. He did turn the ball over a few times.
Not as much as Tua, though. Not
as much as others. And I was pounding the table like, no, we have this win now team, and when we get healthy, holy cow, look out. We want this veteran guy who's steady, who can just manage the offense. That's not, we don't need this flashy new young toy. We want that steady, and that's what Kevin O'Connell, and I've kind of flipped, especially after watching this last game against the Eagles. I don't think Carson Wentz is the guy, and I don't want to sit and watch these mediocre games, these one-score games that come down to can he make the plays or not, and it's clear that he can't. I would rather watch the team go 7-10 again, or 6-11, or whatever it is, and see JJ McCarthy develop. And if the first couple of games are rough, so be it. You got 2 road trips coming up. You're going to LA, and then you're going to Detroit before you come back for 2 home games. I don't know. I wonder if JJ's healthy. He's had more time than Carson Wentz to get healthy at this point.
Oh, yeah. He's been afforded that time.
He's not been out there like Wentz has. You know, if he's 95% and Wentz is 92%, I think you put JJ McCarthy out there. And I think the rest of your season, if you make that decision, has to be development. And you might put the white flag up and you might be like, well, we're probably not a playoff team at this point. Okay.
They're not right now.
They're certainly not right now, and not with Wentz. A 3-3 record at this point will not magically turn into a 14-3 record at the end of the season.
Yep.
I think we can all guarantee that, especially with the onslaught of at the Chargers, at the Lions, the Ravens. I'm worried about that Ravens game at home coming off a 2-game road stretch. I don't know what the Ravens' record will be, but I know the Ravens are pissed off.
They're better than their record right now.
And they want to win some games, and they want to prove that they can hold their own in the AFC North, and they're going to come to US Bank Stadium in Week 10 with something to prove. And then you've got the Bears, who are this upstart 4 wins in a row team. And then you go to Green Bay, then you go to Seattle and play. Like, it's just this never-ending onslaught. The Commanders are good. The Cowboys have looked decent.
This is Dak's best year. I don't know, statistically it might not be true, but it's definitely true via the eye test. Yeah, absolutely.
So we are in the toughest part of the schedule. The easiest part of the schedule was before the bye week, and it's long gone. And we went 3-3 in that stretch. So I think you call a spade, you hand the keys over to JJ, and you say, don't make these like terrible, unforgivable mistakes. But if you make a mistake here or there, the little ones, all good. We'll go over them in film. We'll learn from them. We'll pick ourselves up and we'll go out and we'll live to fight another day.
Yeah. Well, and
that's
I think
where I'm at.
I agree. But I think if they're still going to be stubborn about the injury situation, which again, I'm not there. All I can actually know is like, hey, they're saying he's injured, so he's got to be too injured to play. He was healthy enough to dress. He was inactive, but he was dressed as the emergency quarterback against the Eagles. But I think if they're not going to start J.J. McCarthy, they know what they have in Wentz right now, and they need to put him at quarterback too and put Max Brosmer in, because at this point you're proving to yourself you know what you have. You're going to get 500 ball from Carson Wentz right now. It's not like the rest of the team is the reason why they lost. He made terrible decisions and made contributions to that loss against the Eagles. If you're not going to start JJ, then there's no risk in throwing in Max Brosmer. Because if Brosmer's terrible, then okay, hey, we're going back to Carson until JJ's healthy. And then the job-threatening thing is if JJ's not good, and that's why they're not playing him. But, yeah, I think Brosmer, all he's ever done, he was the camp arm that turned into, holy cow, he's good enough to make the team. Well, now he needs to be good enough to see what you got in him if you're not confident in your QB1.
Do you think some of the hype behind Brosmer is just the hometown? He was a Gopher. He played down the street in his college days, and there's just a lot of like hometown love for him? Or is it legit like he's actually a good quarterback? Because I watched some of the preseason. I watched him play, and I didn't see anything bad, but I also didn't see anything that I was like super blown away with either.
He played pretty well in the preseason.
He did play pretty well.
I will say, I mean, NFL teams don't make decisions the way the fans would. There's a reason we constantly say like we'd be terrible GMs, because we would be the GM that's like, hey, that Gopher kid, he's not terrible. Make the team. NFL teams, their roster spots are valuable. Like we've seen the Vikings recently in many years only have 2 quarterbacks. If they put Max Brosmer, an undrafted, they had no reason that they had to keep him. If they put him on the final 53 and didn't try to sneak him on the practice squad, because if it was just that feel-good, fuzzy story, they'd be like, all right, we're cutting you, but hey, if nobody picks you up, you're on our practice squad. That'd be the fuzzy feel-good story. They didn't cut him because they didn't want to lose him. Now, obviously, they don't think he's the next $100 million, $200 million quarterback. Otherwise, they would have pulled Carson Wentz because they definitely don't have any. He's on a 1-year deal. He's not going to be a Viking in 12 months, definitely. Brosmer could. He could be the QB2 of the future. He could come out of nowhere and be the Brock Purdy of the future. You never know. But I think teams...
Be the Tom Brady. He could be the Patrick Mahomes.
You never know.
There's so many stories like that have developed where these guys were the backups and then the starter either gets hurt or gets traded or whatever, and then boom, here they are, and they are the stuff.
Yep. But as much as we've seen Kwesi, it feels like Vikings Twitter bullies him into making decisions like, hey, sign Dalton Reiser, do it, and they finally sign him. Or there's been a few like, oh, hey, we bullied him into doing stuff. Like, I don't think Brosmer is a Viking because of the feel-good fuzzy story.
That's fair.
You could make the case that Adam Thielen is a Viking right now because of that, but that's neither here nor there. I think...
Truthfully, I don't even really care about that. Like, the dude took a pay cut to come here. He obviously wanted to be a Viking. Let the man be a Viking. Like, I have his jersey.
Yeah, I'm not complaining about Thielen.
And if he catches one ball every game for the rest of his career, great. Awesome.
Yeah. No, we kind of said that when he signed. Like, I would have been happy with a 1-day contract, at the end of his career. But, yeah, I'm not complaining about Adam Thielen. He's not doing anything for the team, but he's also theoretically... It's not like he's getting paid $20 million right now. Let's just answer the question. Evan, J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, Max Brosmer. Against the Chargers, I'll ask you 2 questions. Against the Chargers... Who do you think should be QB1? Who should start? And then, knowing just everything we know right now about health and everything else, after that against the Lions, who should start? So who should be QB1 in those 2 games?
I think I'm completely flipped from where I've been, and I think it's got to be J.J. McCarthy indefinitely.
Okay.
If he's 90% or better, it's got to be him. For the purpose of development. And again, if it's a 5-win season, 6-win season, 7-win season, so be it. Like, and again, I think KOC will get the pass, like you said earlier about the 7-10. Kirk Cousins goes down with the Achilles. It won't be his fault, so to speak, if the Vikings finish with the losing record, don't make the playoffs, and finish, last in the NFC North. It won't be his fault if he makes that decision and just sticks with it, especially if J.J. McCarthy develops and shows some promise. Caleb Williams did that last year, right?
Caleb had that excuse where his coaches got fired.
True, but he also wasn't playing great at times, but he also was showing flashes of being good. And right now, JJ has at least one flash of being good. It was the end of the Bears game where he had the famous quote of, where else would you rather be? And then all he did was go out and led the Vikings to a victory on Monday Night Football in week 1. So we know he's got it in him. I think it just needs to be developed out of him. I think... And it's not the good things that need to be developed out of him. It's the bad things that need to be developed out of him in order for the good things to shine.
Sure.
So that's where I'm at. Let's just roll with JJ. I've seen enough of Carson Wentz. I'm over it now. I was really high on him for a few weeks, and he proved enough to me this week that would say, nope, I'm good. Don't need to see him take another snap for the Vikings.
I agree. I think JJ should be the starter from here on out, including the Chargers game. However, I'm realistic enough to know that, hey, they're being stubborn about this injury thing, and they're not going to put him out there until KOC is 1,000% sure he's 1, healthy, and 2, ready, whatever that means. But I will say it should be JJ every game for the rest of the season, but if they're going to be stubborn, it can't be Wentz anymore. It has to be Brosmer and then JJ, because during the Lions game, I don't care how severe his injury was. There's no excuse to be out that long. It's a sprain, and I've heard, ankle breaks are easier to come back from timeline wise than high ankle sprain. I don't care. I just don't. You're a football player. Go out and play and get the shot. Do whatever.
Tape it up.
Yeah. Man up and go play. And yes, I recognize I'm a 34-year-old least athletic person in the state of Iowa. Like I know I'm not.
You're not the least athletic.
Okay, but still, I know what I'm saying and I know how it sounds. But still, you're supposed to be an NFL starting quarterback. It should be one of those things. You hear stories about like these great NFL players. Like, I don't care if my arm's broken. Tape it up. I'm going out there. Like, I know it's not that simple and that's too macho or whatever. But at some point, if he's not starting against the Lions, then I'm done with him. Like, I'm done with the season, the decision makers, unless they come out and say, yeah, we didn't tell anybody, but he had cancer. Like, that would be about the only reason I'd be like, okay, yeah.
And that would be pretty extreme.
Yeah.
And I feel like at this point we would have heard something about that.
No, I that's extreme. But for me, it's JJ all the way. And if he's still not healthy enough, then it's got to be Brosmer.
You kind of roll the dice with Brosmer.
Yeah, because the season's lost with Wentz anyways.
Yep.
He's showed you that it's lost anyways. He can't beat anybody.
And I think, your guys in the locker room, we hear the most from Justin Jefferson because he draws the most attention. But like, he will continue to be the consummate professional and just say, well, yep, he's throwing me the ball. So, and I think the concerning thing for Justin Jefferson, and I think eventually we'll see him say something if they stick with Wentz, he only has one touchdown on the season.
Yeah.
In week 1.
Yeah.
Like, he hasn't caught a touchdown pass since week 1. That's concerning for one of the best wide receivers in football. And I think almost every ball we saw thrown his way against the Eagles was wildly out of reach.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kept reiterating to each other in your basement when we were watching the game, like, you don't have to put the ball too far away from Justin Jefferson. Like,
he's going to catch it.
He's going to catch it. But those balls were just like, they were soared over his head. Yeah. There's no chance.
Yeah, you said at one point, like, that's a catch if Darnold threw it. That's a catch if Kirk threw it. And I was like, think about the Bills catch.
Yep.
The most, famous catch of Justin Jefferson's career so far, where he caught that crazy ball against on 4th and 7 or something. That wasn't a good ball.
Nope.
Justin Jefferson caught it. He can catch not good balls. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. All right. I think we've, to this point, beat the quarterback talker down. I think we either want Brosmer or JJ. Hopefully JJ, but if I'm betting any money on who's going to be the Vikings quarterback against the Chargers, for whatever reason, I just have no confidence the Vikings are going to throw JJ out there. So it's got to be either JJ or Brosmer. How crazy is it that it's when they go to LA and play the Chargers, it will have been basically exactly 1 year after they traveled to LA and played the LA team on Thursday Night Football. Last year, it was the famous phantom face mask, non-called face mask against the Rams that the Vikings lost on Thursday Night Football.
I'll be honest, I don't like the Vikings schedule this year.
No, it's rough.
Yeah. And I know there are certain things that they can't control, like obviously you're going to play everybody in the division twice, and then there are the divisions that your division plays. You play everybody in that division once. So, like, there are certain teams that you're just not going to avoid, but I think it's less about who the Vikings play and kind of when those games are scheduled. The 2 back-to-back Europe games, we saw that, and we talked about that.
I hope we never see that again.
That weighed heavily on this Vikings team, and I think KOC is still recovering from that. And then, like, you get the bye week, but then you come out and you play you play the defending Super Bowl champs, albeit at home, and then you go on a short week and play on the West Coast. Like, that's like almost a death sentence right there.
Yeah.
In terms of NFL scheduling, especially for a Midwest team that really struggles on the West Coast. And I know the NFL schedule makers are going to be like, no, we just make the schedule.
It is what it is.
Doesn't matter to us. But
it was the same story last year.
Yep.
They came off the bye to play
3 away games, right?
Well, they
that
came
last
off
year?
the bye to play against the Lions, who were not the defending champs, but they had made the NFC Championship game, a really good postseason qualifier the previous year. They lost a close game, a one-score game to that team, and then boom, had to travel to LA and play against I would say this year's Chargers are on par with, at this point, last year's Rams. A good team. And it's just Kevin O'Connell's got to be having some flashbacks here. Because, yeah, it's the same story. And the only difference is, or one of the biggest differences, your quarterback is not somebody that you have confidence in.
Yep.
Oh, so keep going.
I think we were going in the same direction. I think we need to wrap this up.
Yes.
Final prediction for the Chargers-Vikings game.
You can see mine. I can see yours here. I think the Vikings this season is slipping. Yep. And it's going to be a while before there's really any hope. I haven't sounded probably like somebody who has a lot of confidence in the team right now. Definitely think the Vikings are going to lose to the Chargers. I think it's going to be a tough loss. I think it's one that people are going to get pissed about. There could be, after this game, like, not Kevin O'Connell, but coaching decisions made. I don't know. It's the time that you make desperation, and I don't know if Wes Phillips, maybe he's firmly seated in, maybe Kevin O'Connell is totally ingrained in him, and I don't know enough about.
I feel like Wes Phillips doesn't do a whole lot because KOC kind of has such a stranglehold on the offense.
But that could just be, and I agree, but that could just be like a fan perspective. Like maybe KOC is like, I couldn't do anything without that guy. Like, I don't know.
I don't know.
But I think the Vikings are going to get beat down. Chargers are going to win 31-10, something like that. And it's just going to be a rough mini bye for Vikings fans and Vikings players and everybody. It's going to be, this season's going to be one that Kevin O'Connell looks back on and just has a lot of regrets and a lot of what ifs, and it's just going to be tough for us to watch.
I think it's closer than that. I don't think it's a blowout. I don't think it's a 31-10. I think KOC does a really good job of motivating men to play football, and I think he's going to do that on a short week. I think he's going to rally the guys, and they're going to play with some intensity, and I think they're going to score some points. I think one of the touchdowns that they will score, and they will score several touchdowns, but one of the touchdowns the Vikings will score will be a defensive touchdown. I think the defense finds their way in the end zone. But I still think the Vikings lose this game, not because they didn't try, not because they've just given up. I think it's close. I think it's a one-score game. I think Vikings lose 24-21.
Which is not good because our preseason picks for the Purple Punishments, we both predicted a Vikings win.
Yep.
So we might be spinning the wheel next week. I will say, hot take for me, I expect Carson Wentz to start. As much as I say he shouldn't, I think Brosmer should start if JJ's still quote-unquote injured enough. But if Carson Wentz starts this game, my hot take is that he will not finish this game.
Interesting.
Because he'll be benched. Because you can't put that out too many times before you finally get benched, especially when you're not the 10th overall pick. Another hot take is that JJ McCarthy will start against the Lions following the Chargers
and that's
game.
a scary thought because the Lions looked like they could do no wrong.
Yeah.
I think Jared Goff did throw an interception against the Bucs tonight, but there was a moment in that game that I was watching before you came over tonight where it just seemed like the Lions could not do anything wrong. It was just touchdown and then another touchdown, and then the Bucs turned the ball over, and Mike Evans went out with a concussion and a shoulder injury, and Baker Mayfield's just kind of standing there like, now what am I supposed to do? And then the next drive he came out and threw an interception, I think, or no, I think it was a fumble. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The Lions just looked unstoppable tonight, and that's concerning as well for all of the NFC North because they were a good team last year. We know they're still a good team. I think we all thought they would maybe kind of take a dip this year, but
I really did. I really thought they'd be done.
They've proven they're not dipping. They are to take a line from How I Met Your Mother. They're straight ducking right now.
All right, man. What'd you think of this? Old Tavern from Confluence?
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, you're out.
It's gone. I don't have any more.
I've tried to leave a sip here.
Super easy drinking.
Yeah.
Like just right square in the middle of what you'd want from a beer. Premium light lager hits the description on the nose. It's a good beer.
Yeah,
I liked it.
We've had a few of these Bud Light versions of light lagers from Iowa breweries, and I've said it about each one that we've had before. Give me this over a Bud Light any day. It's the same style. It's not a trillion times better because Bud Light, they're solid. But give me this over Bud Light any day. It's a solid beer. It's really good. I've had to try to leave the last sip there for our intro here. But yeah, super good beer. Thank you for Confluence for making such a good beer.
And I failed miserably. But
it's not a rule. We don't have to leave that last sip.
I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah. All right, Ev, if people want to keep the conversation going, how can they reach us?
Drop us a comment on our YouTube video. It seems to be one of the best places to find us.
Yeah.
We do have a website, theskolhop.com. We also have an email address, theskolhop@gmail.com. You can drop us a line there. We're on some other social media outlets as well.
Everything else, yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, TikTok are kind of the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you can probably find us anywhere. Just Google us, The Skol Hop. I think you'll find us.
Yeah.
No problem.
All right, man. That was really good. Yeah. This was a really good episode. Great beer.
Maybe best episode yet.
Skol.
Skol. Na 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 na. Hey hey hey. Goodbye. And that's what's gonna show up at the end of the episode.